Hey, what's up, guys? It's Ben from UnitedQ, and it's Wednesday, which means we've got another awesome podcast to get you over Hump Day. I'm here with my co-host, Dan.
Hello.
And we're brought to you, as always, by ProQ, BBQ Gourmet, and Smokewood Shack, our awesome sponsors. ProQ's dedicated to providing you quality smoking products with top-notch service and free advice from beginners to pitmasters. You can find them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under ProQ Smokers. So if you're thinking about buying your first smoker, or looking to upgrade, or even pick up some epic accessories, you can check them out over at Max Barbecue. And BBQ Gourmet is devoted to promoting real barbecue and supplying the UK and Europe with top-notch championship-winning barbecue rubs, sauces, marinades, and accessories from the United States and around the world. You can find them on Twitter and online under BBQ Gourmet. Regardless of how you cook, whether it's on charcoal, wood, gas, or electric, the real taste of summer can be yours all year round. And on today's episode, we have James Lowe from JL Butchers, our first butcher on the show. Hello, James.
Hello.
You all right?
Hi, how you doing?
We're good, thanks. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Great to have you on.
Thank you very much. Good to be on.
Cool. Could you tell us whereabouts you're based and a bit about your background, James?
Yeah, sure. So my shop is in a very small village called West Byfleet in Surrey, just outside Woking. I've had it now sort of about 2.5 years, 3 years in September. All come about quite randomly, really. I woke up one day and decided I wanted to be a pig farmer. I've been a chef since I was 15, trained as a chef for 3 years, and then decided I wanted to be a pig farmer. So I started working on volunteering on a pig farm in the evenings. And then there was a chance for me to have a few of my own pigs. But before getting them, I thought I'd try and find somebody that wanted to buy them at the other end. My parents had been using this butcher's for quite a while, so I popped in to see whether he wanted to buy them or not. And he said no, because he was selling the business. It was just really awkward silence. So just literally more than anything, I asked him how much he was selling his business for, and he gave me a figure, and I sounded like a fairly good deal. So one thing led to another, and sort of a couple of months down the line, I ended up buying the shop from him.
Wow.
Well, that's a ton of events.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, borrowed money from parents, borrowed money from the bank, and just went for it, really. And so sort of getting on for 3 years. And it's all gone from there, really.
That's awesome. So did you ever get your pigs then?
I never got the pigs, no,
Oh,
because
no.
I ended up putting so much time into the shop that I just haven't got a spare minute to actually consider farming pigs now. So
Yeah, I bet.
one day.
Yeah.
Just sell them chopped up now instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I've had similar feelings, actually. After reading the Ginger Pig book, I was like, oh, I really want to get my own pigs now. But
They are so
I better not
fun,
walk
they-
to my butcher's because I might end up buying one. It's risky, isn't it?
They've got such characters, pigs, as well. They're wicked. They taste good as well, so.
Yeah, definitely do that. So you've not been butcher for long then? You've just been into it for the last few years then?
Yeah, just the last few years, really.
But you've always been in food?
Always been in food, always been in kitchens, so sort of always been around meat quite a bit. Always been a bit mad on barbecue, and just sort of stepped it up the last few years as well, and just gone bonkers with barbecue. So
Yeah, was it being the butcher that really drew you into the barbecue world, or were you really into barbecue before that then?
I've always been into barbecue. Sort of started off with very traditional English barbecue with sausages and burgers on just naff barbecues in the back garden, and yeah, in the last few years, it's kind of just really taken over. But,
Yeah, hasn't it? It's done the same thing to us all, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think having the butchers has sort of fueled it as well, because obviously I've got access to a lot of the cuts without having to pay the big prices. So I get to experiment quite a bit more and play with meat quite a bit more. So.
And recently you've started actually butchering in the shop yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, so initially when I bought the shop, I kept the existing butcher on full time, and I was working a part-time job, and so part-time somewhere else and then part-time in the butcher's. But it got to the stage where if I really wanted to push the shop on, especially with the online stuff as well, with the ordering, because he's an old boy and he's not all that au fait with technology. It was getting quite difficult trying to take online orders and arrange couriers and stuff. So got to a point where I needed to make the decision to jump over into there full time and drop him down to a part-time position. And since doing that, the online stuff has really picked up because I can put a lot more time into it. So
awesome. We started seeing some really, really wicked barbecue cuts coming out from the shop, which is awesome. Something a bit different, which is great to see.
Yeah, it's quite because I've got more time now. I can do a lot more research and listen to what like you guys and everyone on the forums and stuff is looking for, and be able to supply that really.
Yeah, you definitely do that. Like you're the first name almost that we think of when it's like, right, we need this barbecue cut. It's always, let's go speak to James Butchers. They'll definitely know what to do with that.
Recently, you posted like a guide to like the Boston butt, which was like a sort of guide for the British butcher on what we would like from a Boston butt and how to cut that to sort of the specifications, which was really, really awesome to see. Because as a sort of a buyer from butchers, it's always difficult when it's again like Instagram, social media and stuff. You're constantly seeing all these cuts from around the world that people are doing, and it's like, okay, how am I going to find that? And a bit embarrassing going into the butchers and being like, well, I want a Boston butt, but I don't even know what it is. I know it's from around the shoulder area, but I don't have actually not knowing anything about it, to be honest. And it can be a bit daunting, to be honest, I feel sometimes. And then, whereas that sort of step guide that you posted the other day was so helpful. Yeah,
it's. I mean, the butcher shop is a pretty daunting place. And I mean, even when I said to the butcher that works for me, we need to start cutting Boston butts. I mean, he's been a butcher since, I don't know, 60s probably. And he looked at me like I'd just spoken some foreign language at him. So a lot of the old boys still haven't really caught up with some of the new cuts. I mean, I say it's a new cut. I mean, if you was to walk into your butcher's and ask for like a neck end of pork, you're basically getting a Boston butt. But it's just worded differently to like how the US will word it and how we word it. But essentially, a neck end of pork is a Boston butt. Once you've cut all the bones out and taken the skin and that off. So
yeah. So are there like other things that we could call it then to if we wanted to get what we want? Is there like a quick guide you can give us on? Ask for this. This is what it'll get.
Yeah, Boston butt. You're best asking for a neck end of pork. And then just either showing the guy, or you can. It's fairly easy to do it at home. There's a couple of little rib bones that are left on, and a bit of the spine that's left on. Or you could ask your butcher for a neck end of pork, bone in, but with the bones removed from the outside, and then just trim the skin off yourself when you get home.
Mm.
But yeah, neck end of pork is probably the best bet if you're going into a butcher's. Or print off the handy guide that I did and take it with you.
Yeah.
We're going to see any more of those guides coming out soon?
Hopefully, yeah. Should be working with Marcus for a regular feature in the magazine.
Wicked. Another reason to check out the UK BBQ Mag, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm really looking forward to that. Because I honestly, I said to Marcus, I thought that was brilliant. The post actually really, really helpful, and it just really makes a difference. So when you can go into a butcher's and show them something and say, this is what I'm looking for, it just really, really breaks down that barrier, and they're actually, okay. Normally, like most of the time, like, I mean, remember when I went to my butcher asking for a tri-tip, and he looked at me like I had horns coming out of my head, and then like he just went online and he was like, that's what it is, no worries.
Yeah.
And literally cut it out within a couple of minutes.
We watched him do it.
Yeah, straight in front of us, and there we had a tri-tip. So yeah, I mean, it's just sort of like explaining, I guess.
Definitely, and I think, I mean, as long as you're not sort of going in at sort of mid-morning on a Saturday when there's a queue at the door and trying to ask loads of questions, I think, like, if you want to really, like, have a proper long conversation with your butcher, I'd probably suggest going in sort of midweek sometime. I mean, hopefully they'll always talk to you. I'll always try and spend time to talk to people, but obviously if you've got a queue of customers, it's difficult to stop and spend a long time with one person. Always try to, but yeah, if you want to sort of really get to know your butcher like have a decent chat, sort of pop in midweek, and tell them what you're about. As soon as you start talking about how passionate you are about meat and what you do with it, then if any butcher's worth his weight, should get equally as excited and want to talk to you about it. So
yeah, awesome. Something that I've had from you is pork ribs, and I've never had pork ribs like them from anyone else. So what's the difference from a JL pork rib and the standard pork ribs we're getting from our butchers, and what should we be asking for?
I think,
or should we just be ordering from you?
I think the problem is with, like, because obviously when we're cooking pork ribs, we like them to be really, really meaty. And if you're cutting meaty ribs, then you're kind of jeopardising the other side of the rib a little bit. But I mean, make so many sausages and stuff. You can always use up any trimmings in your sausages. Whereas most butchers will tend to like to cut the ribs quite tight to the bone. So
it used to be like a skillful thing for a butcher to leave as little meat on the bones as possible, whereas we want meaty bones.
Exactly. Yeah. So just ask them for real meaty bones.
So is that just leaving more of the belly on the ribs? Is that
essentially? Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you're really doing.
Okay, wicked.
Yeah.
So you end up with like belly pork that's got less meat on it. Is the downside to that?
There's ways of using it. So like you could stuff it and roll it, and it's going to look like a nice joint at the end. So
yeah.
But yeah, different butchers do things differently, and so like, obviously you've got like the St. Louis, which comes from the spare ribs, which is kind of like the centre part of the rib cage, I suppose, whereas the baby backs will come across the top towards the loin. So depending on what cut you want as well as to what part of the side that you need to go for as well. So.
And like pork tends to be like fairly similar across the board. So like, and what I'm trying to get at here is like when like we're talking beef and sort of grades of beef, everyone wants like sort of USDA beef or your Wagyu beef, but with pork tends to be fairly good here in the UK. Why is everyone looking for like US imported or like or Wagyu beef imported from other countries? What's like the difference to here in the UK?
It's basically it's all down to fat marbling, really. So the US stuff and the Aussie stuff, it seems to have a lot more fat marbling through like the centre of the meat, rather than having like a fat cap as such. But again, I mean, there's certainly people cooking English briskets, which are coming out really nice. I know again, Marcus, I think is working on doing a bit of a cook-off between Aussie briskets and English briskets to see whether or not you can get similar results out of them. But yeah, a lot of it's down to the fat marbling through the meat.
I mean, we had an Irish one the other day at Marcus's, and it was fantastic. Had good marbling on it, and so there is good product coming from the UK. I think it's just identifying where from, like which cattle within the UK we'd be looking for or trying to sort out, and getting a good supply on it really.
I smoked up a bit of the Longhorn beef from Forest Beef, which we get in, and that was gorgeous. I mean, just as nice as any of the USDA stuff that I've cooked. So
cool.
I think possibly for competition it might be different to sort of backyard cooking, but yeah, I mean, I love British beef.
Yeah, and I wish it was used more. I wish people weren't looking for the USDA and Wagyu cuts. So I hope the findings that Marcus brings to the table are positive ones for the British cattle, and we can start using a lot more of it, to be honest.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, it should be good if you can get some good results from it.
And are there any like sort of unknown or like unusual cuts that we should be looking for that maybe suit our British cattle a little bit more?
Well, personally, I'm a big fan of things like flank and skirt and feather steak. Feather steak cooked dirty is, I think, probably one of the nicest steaks you can have, basically. Which is the feather steak comes from the blade bone in the shoulder, and it's called feather steak because when you bone it out, it's almost got like a feathery effect across the top of the meat. And yeah, if you cut that nice and thin, cook it dirty, it's actually amazing cut of beef. But yeah, I love all the lesser known cuts like flank and everything. There's so much more flavour in them.
How do they compare on like price wise? Is that a flank steak much cheaper?
Yeah. So, for example, I sell like blade and feather steaks, depending on market prices, but usually around about £10 a kilo. Sirloin is £30 a kilo. So
wow, yeah.
I have a question. Different. It may sound stupid. Is it feather steak cut thicker? Is that flat iron steak? Is that?
It's all from the same area.
Okay.
So there's basically all around that blade bone, there's a few different muscles that come away from it. But it's very, very similar, sort of right next door to, like, you get the flat iron and then the feather, basically.
Okay, cool. I'm a big fan of the flat iron. I love a good flat iron steak.
Nice.
Yeah. I think it's important, like those cheaper cuts, that's what kind of barbecue was all about originally, wasn't it? It was like the brisket was a cheap cut and that's why everyone was going for it, but it's become more and more expensive now, so finding these other cheap cuts is what we want to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, the more the supermarkets pick up on stuff as well, then it sort of pushes the prices up, like for the smaller people to buy as well, because the supermarkets buy everything up in bulk, so it kind of pushes it up for the rest of us. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that really does attract me to pork a lot. And again, like cooking for big crowds and stuff, pork just really shouts out to me because you can still pick up like 5 kilo pork shoulders for like pennies, and not pennies, but for like hardly anything. It's so much.
Yeah, no, it is good value cut of meat because there's so much meat on it basically, and it goes a long way, especially if you're pulling it. You can get a lot of portions out of a pork shoulder. So yeah, it's good. It's a good cut. I love leg of pork as well, actually, to be honest. Not a lot of people are buying it now. It used to be really popular in the UK, but everyone's sort of, because there's been some big campaigns about pulled pork and everything, it's really hard to sell leg of pork now. Well, I find it hard to sell. I end up curing a lot of my legs now and making gammons and stuff from them, rather than selling them as joints. But.
So when it comes to pulled pork, do you think that like the Boston butt, the shoulder, is the best cut of meat to do that?
Yeah, I think the fibres in the shoulder tend to break down a bit better than... I've tried doing pulled pork with leg, and it does work. It's slightly leaner as well, so it does have a tendency to dry out a bit more, and it seems to have slightly larger fibres in it, so it doesn't break down quite as much as what the shoulder does. But
so how would you suggest people to cook their leg then? Because you're saying leg's one of your preferred cuts. So how would you cook up a leg?
It's a really nice roasting joint, to be honest. Like if you ask for the leg boned and rolled, lovely. Like get all the skin scored nicely, gets a nice crackling on it. So yeah, it makes a nice roasting joint. Equally as nice on the smoker as well. Like basically, like cooked very similar style to your shoulder, but don't take it quite as far, so you can get some nice slices out of it for a Sunday lunch. Cool.
I often use a hand of pork when I'm doing my pulled pork because that's what my butcher does. If I asked him for a shoulder, that was kind of what he gave me when I said about it. So he's like, oh yeah, that is the shoulder. So is that?
It's basically the sort of like the other side of where the Boston butt is. So you'd cut the hand of pork off when you were cutting a Boston butt. Usually I'd just trim that up for sausages because there's not too much left, but if you cut it sort of slightly deeper into the shoulder, you can use hand of pork for pulling, definitely.
Cool. Nice.
Do you get through much lamb and stuff, or is it you mainly pork and beef?
No, we sell quite a lot of lamb as well. So, again, mainly we probably sell mainly more legs of lamb over shoulders. Barnsley chops are a nice popular one, which is basically just 2 lamb chops still connected. So you get like a double chop. They're always popular. They look really nice.
Nice.
But yeah, and breast of lamb or lamb belly, as it's sort of getting a little bit trendy to call it lamb belly now rather than breast of lamb. That's a really nice cut, really, really cheap. But yeah, you can cook that either really, really quick. Again, like cook it dirty and it's lovely, or nice slow cooked. You can roll it, stuff it, and slow cook it, and it's really nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've done stuffed it and rolled it before, and that was quite nice. But I like this sound of trying to do it quicker, maybe.
Yeah,
I've tried that before.
It's really nice, like super, super quick. Just like literally just like flash it onto the coals, and it's gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah, I got a saddle of lamb the other day, and but asked for it to be cut sort of extended down around the ribs, so it had a bit of belly in it as well, and then rolled it up like a porchetta, but did like a lamb-chetta version. That was really wicked. That's really nice.
I like that.
Yeah, I did also. I'm really into lamb ribs, but they're always. Again, it's probably down to the fact that butchers are cutting stuff to get as close to the bone as possible, but they're always so small by the time by the time you buy them, and I had to cook like about 30 just for a snack for me, so it wasn't very economical.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the lamb ribs are going to be a lot smaller than the pork or beef ribs.
Yeah,
and especially now as well, because we've got new season lamb, which tends to be a bit leaner than sort of a couple of months ago, where slightly older lambs, but. So it tends to be a bit leaner, not quite as much on it, but nice.
I was listening to a chef the other day talking about I can't remember what it was called. So you got lamb, and then you have mutton, and it was like an in between stage where it was like sort of older lamb, and he was hog it. Okay.
Yeah.
And he was saying that was really nice.
Yeah, hogget's really nice. I can't remember what the ages are now. It's I think in the UK it's something to do with when their certain teeth come through, so when it changes from lamb to hogget, and then after hogget into mutton. But yeah, hogget's lovely, and mutton. I'm a big fan of mutton as well, actually.
Yeah, I keep really sort of like close tabs on sort of the Aussie scene, and they're doing a lot of lamb on the barbecue, and I'm really interested in it because as a family we've grown up eating a lot of lamb, so lamb's like a big part of our diet, and I've seen them doing up some like massive, well, they call them lamb, like racks of lamb ribs. I'm guessing they must be hogget or mutton because of the size of these ribs, and they're cut sort of meaty like your ribs are, and they look phenomenal. And that's what I'm looking to do next. I'm gonna track some down.
Hint, hint.
I keep seeing these asado crosses on the forums at the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty tempted to get hold of one of them so I can cook some lamb on one of them.
I don't know if you'd be allowed to make a big fire outside the shop though, and just pitch a asado cross right up.
Might get in trouble with that one.
In the middle of the street, just a big fire going.
Yeah. Might have to be in the back garden.
You have served some stuff out the front of the shop before, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm quite lucky that I have got a bit of space out the front of the shop. So quite often through the summer we will do barbecue. So like this weekend we've just done the barbecue bacon Scotch eggs, which they're one of the most popular things that I cook or we cook. And we sold out of them by about 1:30, 2 o'clock this weekend, which was great. And we'll be doing them at a couple of food festivals over the summer as well. So.
I remember last year, like you posting some photos you making them, and there was something ridiculous number of them that you made.
It was I can't remember what. I think we ended up over 500 in the end.
Yeah, it was crazy, wasn't it?
It's the first time I've done the Woking Food Festival, and there wasn't really anybody else there doing barbecue. And I think I'd made like a couple of hundred, thinking, oh, that'll do me for the weekend. And we sold out on the Friday. So literally we were up every night until about 1 o'clock in the morning, boiling, peeling and wrapping Scotch eggs. And yeah, I'm sure we did over 500 in the end over the 3 days.
Yeah, I remember like thinking I'd made like 12, thinking, yeah, I've done loads here.
Yeah, they are time consuming, but the final product is lovely. It's really nice.
Yeah, I'm sure you felt like you started that phenomenon last year. It was you that were posting them, and it got me hooked into making them. Then
I can't remember whether I saw it or I think just because I was chatting about them quite a lot. People sort of turned to me to ask how I was doing.
Associated with the Scotch egg.
Yeah. Kelly, to be honest. She seems like most trends.
That's the Kelly kebab.
The Kelly kebab.
So when you're making those up, the sausage like meat that you're putting around them, that's obviously like your blend that you're adding to it. Do you use the same blend in your sausages? Are you using like all different ones in different Scotch eggs and stuff?
It's all basically the same. So it's majority belly, and then sort of some trimmings from the shoulder and leg as well. But it's mainly, you want to aim for sort of around 30% fat, really, which gives you a nice moist finish. And then you can basically flavour them however you want. When people ask me how I make them, I basically just tell people just whatever your favourite pork rub is. If you were doing pulled pork or whatever rub you would put on your pork, that's what I add.
Byron's butt rub. Let's go with that.
Yeah, there we go. Add that to your pork. And I found about 100. So if you've got a large egg, about 150 grams of sausage meat gives you enough to be able to work around the egg.
And what do we want? Just a thin coverage around the egg, or what sort of size?
You want a fairly decent amount of meat on it, but you don't want so much that it's going to take forever to cook, especially if you're doing it on a commercial basis as well.
So do you reckon like half a centimetre thick or something like that?
Yeah, I'd say about that. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, if you go, but yeah, I use about 150 grams. It gives you a nice coverage, so you've got a bit of meat to eat through. It's not just like a wafer thin layer around the egg, and then about 3 rashers of streaky bacon, like crossed over the top.
Smoked or unsmoked?
I smoke them. So I smoke them for about half an hour to start off with, and then I brush them in a barbecue sauce, and then about another sort of 10 minutes back on after that.
Lush. Sounds great.
But it's all about getting the egg right in the first place, because if you can get a nice soft yolk, and then they're only on the barbecue long enough basically to get through that meat layer and not affect the centre of the yolk. So if you can perfect your egg boiling, and then after, or you just make sure you got meat probe and get, as soon as the pork's cooked, pull them off, and then you won't affect that yolk basically.
What's your egg boiling technique then? Because lots of people have got all different ways, haven't they? Some people like boil the water, then put the egg in. Some people put the egg in, then boil up the water. It's all different ways.
I had a disaster this weekend because I decided I was going to try and sous vide them, and my sous vide broke halfway through cooking them. So normally what I would do would just be to put them into boiling water for 7 minutes. That just about sets the yolk, because especially if I'm serving a lot of public, some people are a bit funny about having a really runny yolk. If it was me at home, I'd probably only do it for about 5.
Yeah, because 5 would probably be my.
Yeah, when I'm doing, I take it a little bit further, just so you don't get any sort of complaints about the egg not being cooked properly. So.
Yeah, good shout.
Because you're actually doing quite a bit of catering now as well, aren't you?
It's really picking up. We kind of started it a little bit last year, just through people coming into the butchers and asking us if we do hog roasts and things. So we thought, we'll do a few barbecues, and we ended up having quite a lot over the summer, just through sort of word of mouth. So at the end of last year, we decided we'd kind of split that side of the business out a little bit, and we started Low and Slow barbecue. Did a bit more advertising, and we're pretty much through the whole summer now. We've got something on most weekends, whether it be food festivals or like village shows or private functions. We've got like a big one this weekend for about 110 people, I think, which is just traditional barbecue, sausage, burgers and kebabs. But yeah, we've got a few
awesome
American style ones as well. So, yeah.
So as well as like your sausage, burgers and kebabs, what other stuff would people be expecting to see on the menu from Low and Slow?
We've got everything, really. Like everything all the usual American style ones, so briskets, ribs, pulled pork, through to just traditional burgers, sausages, hog roasts, basically anything and everything. If it can be cooked over fire, then I'll give it a crack, basically. And we've got quite an extensive size menu as well: mac and cheese, pit beans, a few different types of coleslaws. So yeah, but it's really kind of I like to work with with the customer a bit more rather than having sort of set menus. I'd rather just sit down and have a chat with someone and find out what they like and kind of just tailor the menu around what people like, really, rather than trying to pick it off of a website, because everyone likes something different. But yeah, so most things we can have a crack at.
Yeah, got some nice sound inside. I like the sound of the smashed cucumber and pickled watermelon salad. That sounds quite interesting.
That's really nice. I think that's sort of basically inspired from the PQ cookbook, but that's really nice, especially in the summer, and it cuts through some of the meatier, so like some of the fattier cuts, so like briskets and stuff. But you've got the pickled watermelon, it kind of really sort of cuts through that fat a little bit. It's really nice.
How do you pickle it?
I can't think what the recipe is now. It's a quick pickle. It's not a long one. So it's the usual suspects. So brown sugar, apple cider vinegar. I think there's some chili in there as well. Peppercorns. Just boil it up. Let it cool down slightly, and then pour it over the watermelon. And then just leave it for a few hours. And it's good to go. You can leave it for like a couple of want, but it's basically good to go after a few hours, really. So
that sounds good.
Yeah, definitely.
So what sort of barbecues are you cooking on?
What to say?
What barbecues are you cooking on?
Cooking on?
Yeah.
I've got basically Weber's, so I've got Weber Master Touch 57 WSM. I've got an open hog roast, like wood-fired hog roast. I've got about 3 sort of commercial gas barbecues as well, if you're sort of doing burgers en masse. I've got like a tripod thing over a fire. That's what I got.
That's cool. You got a wood-fired hog roast.
Yeah,
you don't see that very often.
Most people have gas ones, don't they?
Yeah.
You don't see it very often because it takes so freaking long. The gas ones, especially the enclosed gas ones, you can knock out a hog roast in about 6 hours. I'm looking at about 14 hours to cook a hog on the open wood-fired one.
Does it cost much more money to hire a wood-fired guy to come and do it than a gas guy?
Well, I think my prices are very reasonable. But I don't know. I'm quite competitive in this area for prices.
I'd say I'd be definitely willing to pay.
Yeah,
I'd much rather it be cooked over wood than over gas.
It's you have to find the right sort of customer for it, because it involves me basically setting up in their back garden 14 hours before their event, and then coming back every 2 hours to like work the fire, basically. So it's not everyone's cup of tea, but we've done a couple this year. We've got another one in a couple of weeks' time. So there are people out there that appreciate it, and it's hard work, but it's good fun. I love doing it.
Because some people with the gas ones, they light them up before, don't they? And they start it cooking, and then they'll trailer it down to you once it's already cooked, and it's only spinning for effect, I think, really, isn't it?
yeah. There's definitely people out there that will do hog roast, but turn up with a cooked pig and basically just, like I say, just put it on for effect, really.
Yeah. I'm looking at photos on your loweslowbarbecue.co.uk. There's a few photos of the hog roast on there.
Yeah.
Looks awesome. It's making me hungry as usual. Need to stop doing this. Every time we do a podcast, we'll start looking at the food and we're like, I need to go and eat now.
That's good. Good fun.
So you cook a lot at home. You cook mostly on your Weber 57 and the Smoky Mountain? Yeah,
most nights it's on the barbecue. Yeah. Actually, my wife said to me this morning, can we just have a couple of days where we don't eat barbecue food?
No.
Like, really? Like the sun's out.
Yeah, what a bad time to say that.
Yeah.
What about 2 months ago when it was raining? Why didn't you pick then?
Yeah. But no, most nights I'm doing something out there. Even if it's just lighting a fire pit and sitting outside and having a beer around a fire pit. It's something about that whole being around fire and smoke, and it's just, I find it quite relaxing.
Yeah. I'm at 11 days so far of not using our oven at home.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
What's your favourite wood if you're going to be smoking some food?
Apple and cherry, I think, are probably my two favourites. I'm not sure. I don't know how much of a difference the wood makes. I mean, definitely cherry gives a different finish, like in colour wise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure really how. By the time you've got your different rubs and sauces and stuff on, how much that the different woods affect the flavour. Some people obviously will probably completely disagree with me on that, but yeah, I don't know that it makes a massive difference. But I tend to stick to apple and cherry just because that's what I can get hold of the easiest.
Yeah. I think around those lighter areas, you're probably right. Like around like apple, cherry, they are like a similar one. If you went to like a stronger, darker wood, then you will get a different flavour then. But I think that all the fruit woods, you're kind of right. They're very similar, aren't they?
Obviously, things like hickory and stuff are going to give them a much different flavour. But yeah, like I say, the lighter fruit woods, I don't think make much difference.
Yeah. And are you a lump wood, or you got briquettes that you like to use?
No, I use mainly lump wood, and I've got a friend who's a tree surgeon, so I get nice big chunks of wood off of him as well. But yeah, most of the time I use the big K restaurant grade lump wood, and then Aussie heat beads if I am doing a really long cook. I do quite like the Aussie heat beads now. So.
Yeah, you've got some of those, haven't you?
Yeah. Actually, I like him as well. I mean, I was like massively again. I just wasn't into briquettes at all. But now, I mean, I bought like a pallet of, or not a pallet, like a half pallet of Aussie.
Always
heat beads.
exaggerating.
And like there's just sort of sat in my garage for ages, and I tried them and wasn't like overly convinced, and just sort of left them alone. But as my lump wood was starting to run out recently, I actually popped open a few bags and started using them a bit and gave them a bit of a chance. And actually, I actually enjoyed cooking with them and found them to be good. And yeah, I have no problem with them, to be honest. I am a lump wood guy at the end of the day, and I will use lump wood 9 times over 10. But I do. The heat beads are good bits of kit. The cocoa shell as well that's come out recently from ProQ, I've enjoyed using that and grilling over that as well. It's a really good product. So.
Yeah, I was just going to say we're both using that quite a lot lately, and it's just noticed quite a few people online are starting to use it as well, and everyone's getting really good results out of that coconut shell stuff, aren't they?
Yeah, I need to get some of that actually. Actually, I've given that a go.
Yeah, get online.
Yeah, so yeah, as far as different fuels go, I mean, I'm open to anything really, but I am a lump wood guy, and yeah, the cocoa shell's been pretty handy recently. Been using that a lot on some longer cooks as well, which has been exciting. You mentioned rubs a couple of times. Do you buy and use commercial rubs in the shop, or do you make a lot of your own rubs?
A bit of both, really. I mean, I do like Steve Hayes' stuff. I've got quite a bit of his stuff. Dirty Gold is a nice one. I use that quite a bit. But yeah, quite often I'll just knock something up myself. Just with the usual suspects: paprika and brown sugar and salt and pepper. And with beef, I don't like to do too much of it. Just salt and pepper. Especially if you've got a decent bit of beef, then I don't think you really need to mess around too much with it. I mean, with all the meats, really, like even with the pork shoulders, I try not to go too heavy on the rubs. Especially, I mean, the plantation pork, which we get in at the moment, there's so much flavour in that pork that I don't see why you would mask it with loads of different rubs. But
yeah, we agree with you. I think like when you've got a good quality meat, it does seem a shame sometimes to just completely mask it out by using some really strong flavours around it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone's different, and when I first started training as a chef, you become really arrogant and you think that you know best, and the only way to do things is how you do them, and if someone doesn't agree with you, they're wrong. But as I've sort of grown up,
that's what Ben thinks. It's weird.
Well, as I've been around food a lot more, basically it's all down to how you enjoy eating it and what flavours you like. One person can't tell another person they're wrong for doing something if that's how they enjoy it and that's how they like it. Why spend a lot of money on a piece of meat, cook it to how somebody else likes it, if that's not how you're going to enjoy it, basically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah, and I think I probably did pork a bit of injustice earlier when I was saying that you could sort of get away with anything. What I sort of meant is that pork's probably more forgiving in the fact that you could buy go to the supermarket and buy some pork and you won't really go wrong with it. Whereas I do find with beef sometimes you you do, especially.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think especially because the butchers, hopefully most butchers will be aging their meat more than what the supermarkets will. I know the supermarkets now do have a range. Most of them have a range of aged meat as well. But when you go in and you look at, especially like the top sides and stuff, they're this bright red colour, and there's no flavour to it at all. Like, I don't know if anybody saw the photos of the ribeye that Duncan had offered me last week, but it was just like black on the outside.
Looked
I remember seeing that.
There's so much more flavour in it. So like beef wise, I forgot where we were. Yeah, it's like pork. Pork is a bit more forgiving, because you can disguise a bit more with rubs and stuff as well.
But I do find even pork from the supermarket. I'll buy like pork chops from a supermarket, and they're like shrink down to like a piece of bacon or something. It's not the same. Like if I get decent pork chops from my butcher, they still look like decent pork chops when I've cooked them.
And again, some of the heritage breeds and stuff, you do get different flavours, and that's why I think I was sort of doing a bit of injustice there earlier on, because...
Very flippant of you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know, but you can get some really fantastic flavours from good quality pork, so it is something you should definitely look out for.
Yeah, some of the rare breed stuff, like Gloucester Spot, Saddleback, like there's so much flavour in the fat as well as the meat. I had some Mangalitsa in a little while ago, which if you like fat, you'll love Mangalitsa pork. If you don't like fat, then you won't like it, because it's like has a massive fat layer on it.
Yeah, so Kelly posted some pictures.
But the flavour in that fat is just unbelievable. But yeah, it's not everyone's cup of tea again, but it's good pork.
I think you did touch on it earlier, but I didn't make enough notes when I was talking about it, so I'm going to ask you again about sausages. Because I bought my own mincer to go onto my KitchenAid so I can try and make my own. I went to the butchers and kind of say, like, what's the best meat for that? And they're like, yeah, shoulder's the best meat for it. So I bought a really expensive shoulder and made sausages, and they were really nice, but probably the most expensive sausages I ever had. So it probably cost me about 16 quid, I think, for this shoulder.
Yeah.
And then just made about 8 or 10 sausages out of it. And I don't think, like, the fat-wise, there weren't enough. Like, I felt they're a bit dry. Other people liked them, but I think they're just being polite.
Yeah. I mean,
probably.
Yeah. We tend to sort of aim for around...
Don't give away all your secrets, James. Don't give away all your secrets.
Around about 30% fat makes a reasonably good sausage. And a mixture of sort of belly and shoulder, really.
Yeah, so probably I just needed to add a bit of shoulder into... not shoulder, that's what I did. Put a bit of belly into my mix, and that would have been...
Yeah.
I have plenty you could borrow.
Yeah, I didn't mean to look at you when I said that, sorry. And what about burgers, then? If we talk about combos now, what would be your perfect beef burger mix?
Perfect beef burger. I like chuck and brisket. Combination is really nice. I have made some wicked short rib burgers, actually.
I want to try that, actually.
They're really nice. Like, get some really aged short ribs and trim them off the bone and just mince it once as well, so it's quite a coarse mince. And then I don't season my burgers when I'm making them. I'll just season them when they're on the grill, because I find the salt starts to change the meat slightly if it's all mixed through with the grind. So I always tell my customers to season the burger when they're cooking it, basically. Aged short rib burgers are amazing.
Yeah, I might try that. I've got a whole rack of short ribs still left at home. I might go for it.
Yeah, I did recently, well, not recently actually now, quite a while ago, but I did some oxtail, which I had trimmed off the bone and then minced, and oxtail, brisket, and it was sirloin, I think, but it was just because it wasn't like binding together that great. So I took some sirloin in the mix, and just they were like fantastic. The not the cheapest burgers in the world, but they were flipping fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what you like and on how fatty you like your burgers and things as well. But most cuts will do fairly well mincing them into burgers, but. Yeah, I'm a quite big fan of sort of chuck, blade, and brisket sort of combination. Is nice.
My like go-to mix, I guess, really is chuck with some like streaky bacon in it. That tends to be what I'd usually go for. I find that's like gets the extra fat content in there from the bacon.
Sounds nice.
Do you ever sell burgers like that?
Yeah, we have done. We've mixed. We've done a few different flavours over the last couple of years. But yeah, we've certainly done burgers that have got some bacon in them as well. I think Tom Kerridge had a really good burger recipe that had some bacon in it as well.
Love Tom Kerridge.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Half the man he used to be as well.
Yeah.
We're trying to do what diet he was on.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't know how you can be a chef and be like that.
Yeah.
That's my problem. I don't get any food to the table. I eat it all. Well, I am technically, So also, you're involved with a barbecue competition and festival?
Yeah, so it's basically music and barbecue competition festival. It's called the Big Meat. It's August 27th and 28th. It's an IBQN sanctioned competition. We've got 18 teams at the moment and about a waiting list of about 6 or 7, I think, because we're just still trying to work out some parking.
Fit them all in.
Yeah. So,
and it's the second year?
It's our second year. Last year it was basically just like a social event. So me and Leo, who I organised it with, we were sat in my back garden around a fire pit and we'd had a few too many beers and we thought it'd be a really good idea to get a load of people together on a field and barbecue and listen to music. So we've, fortunately enough, I know a lady who's got a farm not far from here. So she said, yeah, why not? You can do it at our place. And we arranged it in about 3 months and we got about 300 people turn up. We had bands that just played for nothing. And everyone, we had a couple of teams. Nom Nom Barbecue came down. Barbecue Mates, I think, were there. But it's basically just more of like a social event. We had a few people and barbecued and drunk beer and listened to music, really. And then talking to people about it for this year, a lot of people are saying, oh, you need to make it a competition, especially with grill stock dropping down to just one. There was quite a big gap for another UK competition. So we decided we'd give it a go. And yeah, it's gone pretty crazy, really. We've got quite a lot of bands. It's over 2 days as well, so Saturday and Sunday this time. There's camping, obviously there's the competition, and I think we go up to about 8 bands at the moment.
Awesome.
Over the 2 days. So,
and how do people get involved with that then? Where do they, or if they want, obviously you're trying to find some more room for teams, but if other teams did want to enter, how would they get in touch? And if people wanted to just come along for the day or the weekend, how would they get involved?
Yeah, so if you just check out our website, thebigmeat.co.uk, there's loads of information on there. There's forms that you can fill in to apply for the team positions. I don't think we might be able to release the reserve ones if we can sort out the parking issue, but we probably won't be taking on any more teams for this year. But what I have been saying to a few people is if you just fill out the application form anyway, we've got your details that we can send you some information for next year. And you can buy tickets online. You can send me a message, or me or Leo Mansell send us a message, and we can post some tickets out to you and stuff as well if you just want to turn up for the day or for the weekend.
Awesome.
Yeah, but check out the website. All the information's on there, basically.
Yeah, it's got a list of all the bands and everything that are playing there as well.
Yeah.
It's cool. It must be quite a big event locally now then.
It's growing. The trouble is we're fairly limited on space, so it's trying to grow the event without causing some massive issues with parking and because it's actually a working farm as well, so we need to sort of work with the guys that own the farm and make sure we're not impeding them in any way. So yeah, there's a lot. It's a bit of a juggling act. There's a lot of things that we still need to work out. But yeah, I'm sure it'll all come together, and it'll be a good weekend no matter what happens. It'll be because it'll be the competition side of things, so it's going to be a good laugh whatever happens.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We definitely want to be there, don't we?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it'll be good. Great to see. Like, I mean, it's something that really I think the UK scene's sort of lacking at the minute is enough competitions. So yeah, it's fantastic to see you guys stepping up to the mark and putting something on for the barbecue community, and also just bringing it all together with like the music and just being outside and just sort of that alfresco sort of side of living, and just really promoting that style of life, which is awesome, guys. So big kudos for doing that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, and it's great to see another one. Miss Piggy's Barbecue's organising another one for next year, so that's another one on the cards. So really looking forward to having some more barbecue competitions in the UK. It'd be interesting to see as well if Grill Stock maybe expand back up to more than one. It'd be interesting to see whether they do that or not. But yeah, it seems like with the amount of teams that are applied for some of the competitions that are around, that there really is a calling for some more competitions in the circuit. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing what sort of comes out for next year as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, next year we'll probably be moving venues to somewhere much bigger, so we should be able to take in a lot more teams and not have as many issues to resolve. So it will definitely be happening next year. We just need to find a bigger space because it's grown so much. So
yeah, sort of think that's what when we're chatting to John, that's sort of like his problem as well, is that he really wants it where it is in Bristol city centre, but with the amount of teams applying, he tried to, but there's just no expansion there. So he sort of hit the max it could possibly be. So yeah, it is a difficult situation, but yeah, it'd be great to see you grow and where it's going to go in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, exciting times.
Yeah. So. A question I just thought of was around like the fact of different cuts of meats and different types of meats and stuff. And lots of people like talking about eating goat, and we talked about like mutton and stuff. Like, are there any other like sort of rarer meats and stuff that you're trying to push more in the butchers?
Not really. I mean, we're selling a little bit more goat now than what we used to. But no, it's mainly it's the main players really that are the popular ones. And I mean, it's difficult as well where I'm in quite a small village. Rather than if I was in the centre of London, I could probably do a lot more, be a lot more adventurous. But where I am in a fairly small village, it's difficult sometimes to be too adventurous because you end up with, obviously you need to look after your wastage and stuff. So, but the more stuff I can do online and the more coverage I get online, the more I'll be able to sort of expand the range a little bit more as well. So,
how does the process work then, like ordering meat online? So say I go onto your website now and I order up some ribs. What do I get to like choose a delivery slot, or do you tell me when it's going to come? And how does it come packaged and stuff?
So it comes in like thermal polystyrene boxes, packed with ice, which keep the stuff cold for like up to 72 hours. But it's next day delivery, Wednesday to Friday. So place an order on a Tuesday, you should get it the next day, as long as I've got enough time to get it all prepared. But as soon as I get an order through on the website, I'll send an email straight to the customer and start a conversation with them anyway, just to check that it's quite hard to sell meat direct off of a website because you have to put like certain weights and stuff on there. I find it much easier if people just send me a message on Facebook or give me a call in the shop and say, James, I want this for next weekend or something. And when you're talking to somebody in person, you can make sure they get the right cut than just sort of clicking on a website and hoping for the best. But I mean, it's a fairly nice website and the basic stuff is on there. But it's much easier just to drop me a message and we can have a chat and I'll get it sorted like exactly how you want it, basically.
Or if you're not on Facebook, then just pick up the phone, I guess, and give you a ring, maybe.
Yeah, drop me an email, pick up the phone, whatever, really.
Awesome,
cool. Do you need to be there to sign for it when it arrives?
I can put instructions on the delivery to sort of leave it in a certain area. So if you've got like a outhouse or something, then I can put instructions on there to leave it in a secure place or leave it with a neighbour or something. So cool. No, you don't always have to be there. But
I love that idea. Just turn up at home, all my meat's already there, ready for me.
A lot of people get it delivered to their work on a Friday, so then they can just stuck it in the car and go home, and they've got it all ready for the weekend. So.
Good idea.
Sounds like a lush idea.
know what we'll be doing tomorrow.
One more question. Do your parents still come to the butchers, or have they decided to go somewhere else now?
No, they still come to the butcher. They've actually been a godsend. They've given me a lot of support financially at the start as well, and they're in most weekends with me, helping out, doing some bits and bobs if I need it. And like this weekend with the barbecue function we've got on, Dad's coming down to help flip some burgers for me as well. So
awesome.
Yeah, they've been a great support.
They just get their meat from down the road though instead.
Yeah. But no, they're brilliant.
Awesome.
And the wife as well, putting up with all my barbecuing and dragging her around to different events and stuff as well. She's been great.
They are very forgiving, our wives, aren't they? They're all
they are. Yeah.
They put up with a lot, but they get to eat good food, so
definitely. There's a perk to it.
Yeah. Right, mate. We are at the hour mark, so I am going to jump in there and call it a day. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been great chatting to you.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good job as well, because I think my battery's about to die. So.
Could you quickly tell everyone before your battery dies where they can find you online, what social medias, your website address, all of that stuff?
Yeah, so it's jl-butchers.co.uk. Just search on Facebook for JL Butchers, and on Twitter as well. I think it's JL_Butchers. But yeah, I'm sure if you just punch in JL Butchers, you'll find something about me, good or bad.
All good.
I'm going to post something bad now.
Yeah.
Just
Awesome. Thanks, mate. Thanks for being on.
Cheers, bro.
No problem.
Chat soon.
Thanks very much, guys. Cheers.
Right, guys, thanks for tuning in. We've recorded yet another awesome podcast to help you get over hump day. As always, we're brought to you by ProQ, BBQ Gourmet and Smokewood Shack, our awesome sponsors. ProQ is dedicated providing you with quality smoking products and top-notch service and free advice for beginners to pitmasters. You can find them on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram under ProQ Smokers. So if you're thinking about buying your first smoker or looking to upgrade or even looking to pick up some epic accessories, you can check them out over at Max Barbecue. BBQ Gourmet is devoted to promoting real barbecue and supplying the UK and Europe with top championship-winning barbecue rubs, sauces, marinades and accessories from the United States and around the world. You can find them online on Twitter and on barbecuegourmet.co.uk. Regardless of how you cook, whether it's on charcoal, wood, gas or electric, the real taste of summer can be yours all year round. And Smokewood Shack delivers quality smoking woods every time. They provide the smoky goodness and you provide the talent. You idiot.
So if you're looking for smoking wood, chunks, dust or chips or planks, then head on over to smokewoodshack.com and you can find them on Twitter at Smokewood Shack. And I just want to jump in and just give James a quick shout out here before we cut off. And just he sponsored the Great British Barbecue off, which Ben put on last year.
Yeah, didn't mention that.
Which was
supplied me with amazing lush goods for all of our challenges.
Yeah, which I got to cook with, and they were absolutely amazing. And also, he's also stepped up to the mark again. And I put out a post on the Facebook forum, not really expecting to get much back, to be honest. And he sort of jumped up straight away and private messaged me within seconds and sort of offered up to feed the whole group of students from a local SEN school. Which my partner works at, and we're putting on a good end of year party for them, and we're going to do a barbecue and a bit of a cook up for them, and he's offered to sort of cater for the whole thing. So he's sending down meat to feed all the kids, and yeah, really stepped up to the mark, and really appreciate that. So just a quick shout out there before we do cut off. So
thank you from me as well.
Thank you very much,
Thanks
mate.
for supporting the barbecue community.
Cheers.
No
Cheers. Bye. 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 Bye.